The mansion in Beverly Hills stood silent under the morning sun, its marble floors reflecting light that seemed too bright for Jake Morrison's heavy heart. At 32, he owned Morrison Tech, a company worth billions, yet he felt emptier than the grand rooms surrounding him. Success had brought him everything except the one thing money could never purchase: genuine love. Jake sat in his office, staring at 4 black credit cards spread across his mahogany desk like pieces of a puzzle he couldn't solve. Each card bore no limit, capable of purchasing anything the human heart desired. But these weren't meant for him. They were meant to reveal the truth about the 4 women who claimed to care for him. Oliver Kane, his assistant and closest friend, entered the room carrying steaming coffee. Oliver had worked beside Jake for 8 years. Watching relationship after relationship crumble under the weight of greed and false promises. "You look like a man planning either a wedding or a funeral," Oliver said, setting the coffee down. "Which one is it today?" Jake picked up one of the cards, turning it over in his hands. "Neither. I'm planning an experiment. Those words from you usually mean someone ends up crying, or I end up writing apology letters." Oliver replied, settling into the chair across from Jake. "What's the plan this time?" Jake's eyes held a mixture of curiosity and pain. "I want to know who really sees me, Oliver. Not the bank account, not the company, not the houses or cars. Just me. And how exactly do you plan to figure that out?" Jake gestured to the cards. For women, for unlimited credit cards, 3 days of complete freedom. No rules, no instructions, no expectations. "I'll watch quietly and see what happens when money is no object." Oliver raised an eyebrow. "Who are the lucky contestants in this social experiment?" "Victoria Sterling, my ex-girlfriend, who keeps texting about rekindling our connection. Natasha Brooks, the model who somehow always needs my help with her career. Carmen Rodriguez, my former business partner who's been hinting about investment opportunities in her new ventures. And the 4th, Jake's expression softened, and for the first time that morning, something resembling peace crossed his face. "Luna Hartwell." Oliver blinked in surprise. "The housekeeper. The woman who threatened to make you clean your own bathroom after you tracked mud through the house?" "That's the one," Jake smiled. "Luna is the only person who's never asked me for anything. She hums while she works, brings fresh flowers to every room, and treats me like I'm just another human being who happens to live in a big house." "Jake, are you sure about this? What if you don't like what you discover?" Jake stood up, walking to the window that overlooked his perfectly manicured gardens. "Then at least I'll know the truth. I'm tired of wondering if anyone would care about me if I lost everything tomorrow." Later that afternoon, Jake began his experiment. His first stop was Victoria's downtown apartment, a sleek penthouse that screamed expensive taste. Victoria Sterling had been part of his life for 2 years before their relationship ended in a spectacular argument about priorities and attention. Victoria opened the door wearing a silk robe, her blonde hair perfectly styled despite the casual setting. "Jake, what a lovely surprise. Come in, darling." Jake handed her the first envelope containing the black card. A gift. 3 days, no limits. Complete freedom to do whatever makes you happy. Victoria's green eyes sparkled as she opened the envelope. How mysterious and generous. "What's the occasion?" "Just a token of appreciation for the time we shared." "Well, aren't you full of surprises?" she purred, already examining the card. "I might just have to take that trip to Paris I've been dreaming about." Next. Jake visited Natasha Brooks at her photography studio. The 27-year-old model was in the middle of a shoot, her auburn hair catching the studio lights as she posed effortlessly. When she saw Jake, her face lit up with practiced charm. "Jake, perfect timing." "I was just thinking about you," Natasha said, approaching him with the grace of someone accustomed to being watched. "I have something for you," Jake said, offering the second envelope. Natasha opened it immediately, her eyes widening. A black card. "Jake, this is incredible. You know, I've been wanting to invest in some new equipment for my studio, maybe take a trip to Milan for Fashion Week. Whatever makes you happy, Natasha." 3 days? No questions asked. His third stop was Carmen Rodriguez's office building. Carmen had worked with Jake early in his career before starting her own consulting firm. She was brilliant, ambitious, and had recently been dropping hints about needing investors for her expansion plans. Carmen looked up from her computer as Jake entered her office. "This is unexpected. To what do I owe the pleasure?" "I wanted to give you something," Jake said, placing the third envelope on her desk. Carmen opened it with the methodical precision that had made her successful in business. When she saw the card, her composure cracked slightly. "Jake, this is very generous, but what's the catch?" "No catch. Just 3 days to do whatever you want. Consider it a gift between old friends." "I don't know what to say. This could really help with the business expansion I've been planning." Jake nodded and left, saving his final stop for home. He found Luna in the kitchen, flour dusting her dark hair as she kneaded dough for bread. She wore simple jeans and a yellow sweater, humming a song he didn't recognize. At 26, Luna had worked for him for 3 years. In all that time, she had never asked for anything beyond her modest salary. "Luna," Jake said softly. She turned, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. "Mr. Morrison, I didn't hear you come in." "I was just making fresh bread for dinner." "I hope that's all right. That smells wonderful. I have something for you." Luna looked at the envelope with suspicion. "Am I in trouble? Did I break something expensive again?" Jake couldn't help but smile. Last month, Luna had accidentally knocked over a vase worth more than most people made in a year. Instead of hiding it or making excuses, she had immediately confessed and offered to work extra hours to pay for it. "You're not in trouble? It's a gift." Luna opened the envelope carefully, as if it might contain something dangerous. When she saw the credit card, she nearly dropped it. "Mr. Morrison, I can't accept this. This looks very expensive. It's yours for 3 days. Spend it on whatever you want, whatever would make you happy." Luna held the card like it was made of fragile glass. "But I don't need anything. I have everything I need right here, Luna. Please, just take it. Buy something nice for yourself. Take a vacation. Anything." She looked at him with eyes the color of warm chocolate, filled with confusion and concern. "Are you feeling all right, Mr. Morrison? You look sad." The question caught Jake off guard. In 3 years, Luna was the first person to ask about his well-being rather than focus on the gift. "I'm fine, Luna. Just enjoy the 3 days." That evening, Jake sat in his study with Oliver, both men staring at their phones as notifications began arriving. "The tracking is active," Oliver said. "We'll see every transaction. Any movement yet?" Oliver checked his tablet. Victoria just booked a first-class flight to Paris and reserved the presidential suite at the Ritz. Natasha purchased new camera equipment and made reservations at 3 different high-end restaurants. Carmen transferred funds to her business account and scheduled meetings with potential partners. And Luna? Oliver paused, checking the screen again. Nothing yet. Her card hasn't been used. Jake stared out the window at the city lights twinkling below. Somewhere out there, 3 women were already spending his money with the enthusiasm of children in a candy store. But Luna, the woman with the least, had asked for nothing and seemed to want nothing. For the first time in months, Jake felt a spark of genuine curiosity. What would Luna Hartwell do with unlimited resources? The woman who found joy in fresh flowers and homemade bread, who hummed while she worked and treated everyone with equal kindness regardless of their bank account. As the night settled over Beverly Hills, Jake Morrison realized his experiment had already begun teaching him something valuable. Sometimes the most revealing response to unlimited opportunity is no response at all. The next morning would bring answers, but Jake suspected he might not like what he discovered about human nature. Except, perhaps, when it came to the woman who had spent 3 years proving that some people's hearts couldn't be bought at any price. The morning sun painted Beverly Hills in shades of gold. But inside his mansion, Jake Morrison felt like a detective investigating his own heart. 24 hours had passed since he distributed the black cards, and the results were already painting a clear picture of human nature. Oliver entered the breakfast room carrying his tablet and wearing an expression that suggested the news would be both predictable and disappointing. "Report," Jake said, setting down his untouched coffee. "Victoria is currently shopping on the Champs-Élysées. She's purchased a diamond necklace worth $80,000 and booked spa treatments at 3 different luxury hotels. Her Instagram story shows her toasting champagne with the caption, "Living my best life, thanks to my generous friend." Jake nodded, feeling a familiar hollowness in his chest. Continue. Natasha bought professional photography equipment, worth $50,000, and hired a private jet to fly her to a fashion shoot in New York. She posted a video, thanking her amazing supporter for helping her career dreams come true in Carmen. She transferred $200,000 to her business account and scheduled meetings with 5 potential investors. She sent you a text saying the money will help her triple her company's size within 6 months. Jake pushed his plate away, the expensive breakfast tasting like cardboard. What about Luna? Oliver paused, checking his screen again. Her card was used once. Yesterday evening. Grocery store purchase for $37.62. Groceries? Appears to be ingredients for cooking. Nothing else since then. Jake stood up, his curiosity overriding his disappointment in the other 3 women. I want to see what she's doing. You mean spy on your housekeeper? I mean understand the only person who hasn't used my generosity is a shopping spree. An hour later, Jake found himself driving through a part of Los Angeles he rarely visited. The GPS led him to Sunshine Children's Home, a modest building with faded paint and a garden that clearly received more love than money. His phone had tracked Luna's location here, though he couldn't imagine why. He parked across the street and watched as Luna emerged from the building carrying bags of what appeared to be craft supplies. She wore the same yellow sweater from yesterday and jeans that had clearly seen better days. But her smile could have powered the entire city. Behind her walked a group of children ranging in age from 6 to 12, all chattering excitedly. Jake rolled down his window to hear better. "Miss Luna, are we really going to make a garden?" asked a little girl with pigtails. "We are indeed, Sophie, and we're going to plant flowers that bloom all year round, so this place always looks beautiful. Can I paint the fence purple?" asked a boy with missing front teeth. "You can paint it any color that makes you happy." Tommy, Jake watched, transfixed. As Luna opened the bags and began distributing paintbrushes, seeds, and small gardening tools, the children gathered around her like she was the most important person in the world, which to them, she clearly was. "Who wants to help me carry the rest of the supplies from my car?" Luna asked. The children raced to help, their laughter filling the air with pure joy. Jake noticed Luna's car for the first time. Honda with a dent in the passenger door and paint that had long since faded from blue to a color that couldn't be named. As Luna and the children worked, Jake found himself leaving his car and walking closer. A woman in her 50s approached him, wearing scrubs and a warm smile. "Are you here to volunteer?" she asked. "I'm Director Martinez. We always need more hands with the children." "I was just watching," Jake said honestly. The woman with the yellow sweater, Luna. "What can you tell me about her?" Director Martinez's face lit up. "Luna Hartwell. She's been volunteering here for 2 years, every weekend without fail. The children adore her. She brings supplies with her own money, helps with homework, reads stories. Last month, she organized a birthday party for every child who had never had one. She volunteers here regularly. Every Saturday and Sunday, she says these children remind her of herself when she was young. Luna grew up in foster care, moved between homes until she aged out of the system. She knows what it feels like to be forgotten." Jake felt something shift in his chest, warmth he hadn't experienced in years. He watched Luna kneel beside a shy boy who was struggling with his paintbrush. "It's okay, Marcus," Luna said gently. "There's no wrong way to make art. The fence just wants to be colorful." The boy smiled and began, painting with renewed confidence. Luna's attention moved to each child, offering encouragement, helping with difficult tasks, and celebrating every small success as if it were a masterpiece. "She's using her own money for all these supplies?" Jake asked Director Martinez. "Always has. We've told her the home has a small budget for activities, but she insists on providing extras. Last week she brought a professional storyteller for the children. Cost her a week's salary. She should have seen their faces." Jake excused himself and walked back to his car, his mind racing. While 3 women were spending his money on luxury and personal gain, Luna had spent $37 of her own modest earnings to bring joy to children who had nothing. He drove home in contemplative silence, arriving to find Oliver waiting with more updates. "The spending continues," Oliver reported. "Victoria just purchased a designer handbag collection. Natasha booked a month-long stay at a Beverly Hills hotel. Carmen hired a marketing firm to promote her business expansion. Show
Amy?
Luna's transactions again." Oliver pulled up the account. "Still just the grocery store purchase. Wait, there's something new. She used the card this morning." Jake leaned forward. "Where?" "Hardware store. $53. Paint, brushes, gardening supplies. She's using my money to volunteer at a children's home." Oliver looked up from the tablet. "Seriously?" Jake told him about his morning observations, watching Oliver's expression change from curiosity to amazement. "So while the other three are living like queens, Luna is painting fences for orphan children. She doesn't even know I know about the children's home. She's been volunteering there for 2 years with her own money." That evening, Jake couldn't concentrate on work. His mind kept returning to the image of Luna surrounded by children, her face glowing with genuine happiness. He had given her unlimited spending power, and she had chosen to spend $53 making life better for kids who had even less than she did. Around 7 o'clock, he heard Luna's car pull into the driveway. He watched from his office window as she climbed out, paint smudged on her sweater and dirt under her fingernails. She looked exhausted, but content in a way that all his money had never been able to purchase. Jake met her in the kitchen, where she was washing her hands at the sink. "How was your day off?" he asked, casually. Luna turned, smiling despite her obvious fatigue. "Wonderful. I helped some friends with a project. How was your day, Mr. Morrison?" "Enlightening." "Luna, I have to ask you something. Why haven't you used the credit card?" She dried her hands slowly, choosing her words carefully. "I did use it. I bought paint and supplies, $53, out of unlimited spending power." Luna looked down at her feet. "I don't need much, Mr. Morrison. I have a roof over my head, food to eat, work that pays fairly. What more could I want? Most people would want jewelry, clothes, travel, luxury items. Those things don't create happiness," Luna said quietly. "They just create the illusion of happiness. Real joy comes from giving, not getting." Jake studied her face, seeing no calculation, no hidden agenda, just honest simplicity that seemed impossible in his world. "The children at Sunshine Children's Home," he said softly. Luna's eyes widened. "How did you know about that?" "I followed you today. I saw you painting with them, gardening, making them laugh." Luna's cheeks flushed pink. "I'm sorry if I overstepped by using your card for the supplies. I can pay you back from my salary, Luna." "Stop." Jake stepped closer. "You have unlimited spending power. And you chose to spend $53 making life better for children who have nothing. Do you understand how extraordinary that is?" "It's not extraordinary," she protested. "It's just normal. Those children deserve to feel special, to have beautiful things around them. A little paint and some flowers can change everything." Jake felt his heart racing. In a world where everyone wanted something from him, Luna Hartwell wanted nothing for herself and everything for others. She had taken his test of human nature and turned it into a lesson about the nature of goodness. "Why do you volunteer there?" he asked. Luna was quiet for a long moment. "Because I was one of those children once. I know what it feels like to believe nobody cares about you. If I can change that feeling for even one child, then my whole life has been worthwhile." As Jake looked into Luna's eyes, he realized his experiment had revealed something far more valuable than the greed and selfishness he had expected to find. It had shown him that genuine love, the kind that asks for nothing and gives everything, still existed in the world. And it was standing in his kitchen, covered in paint and smiling like she had just been handed the greatest treasure on earth. The third morning arrived with gray clouds hanging over Beverly Hills, as if the sky itself knew this would be a day of reckoning. Jake Morrison stood in his office, staring at the final transaction report spread across his desk like evidence in a trial he had orchestrated, against his own heart. Oliver entered carrying coffee and wearing the expression of someone about to deliver a medical diagnosis. Final numbers? Jake asked without looking up. Victoria's total, $437,000. Private jet to Monaco. Shopping sprees in 3 countries. And a deposit on a yacht rental for next month. Her latest post shows her in a casino, captioned "Fortune favors the bold, especially with the right connections." Jake nodded grimly. Natasha. $218,900. Professional photo shoots, designer wardrobe, networking events with industry executives. She's already lined up 3 modeling contracts and credited her generous investor in every interview. Carmen? $312,000. She's hired a team of consultants, rented office space in Manhattan, and started a marketing campaign. Her business plan now includes Jake Morrison as a silent partner, though you never agreed to that. Jake finally looked up, and Luna. Oliver's voice softened. $147 total, all at the children's home. Art supplies, books, ingredients for a cooking class she organized for the kids. Yesterday, she bought each child a small gift for something called Random Tuesday Appreciation Day. Jake closed his eyes, feeling a mixture of vindication and heartbreak. His experiment had proven exactly what he feared about human nature, with one shining exception that made all the difference. "I want to see them," Jake said quietly. "All of them, today. Even Luna. Especially Luna." That afternoon, Jake arranged to meet the 3 women at his mansion. They arrived within minutes of each other, as if drawn by some invisible force. Victoria stepped out of a hired limousine wearing a dress that cost more than most people's monthly salary. Natasha emerged from a luxury sedan with a professional photographer documenting her every move. Carmen arrived in a Tesla, talking rapidly on her phone about expansion timelines. They gathered in Jake's living room, each woman glowing with the confidence that comes from unlimited resources. The air buzzed with their excitement and barely contained anticipation. "Jake, darling," Victoria began, settling gracefully into the antique armchair. "I cannot thank you enough for this incredible gift. Paris was magical. Monaco was divine. And I've already planned our next adventure together. The opportunities this opened up are beyond my wildest dreams," Natasha added, adjusting her pose for her photographer's benefit. "3 major brands want to work with me now. You've literally changed my career trajectory." Carmen leaned forward, her business instincts sharp as ever. "We need to discuss the partnership details. With your backing, we can corner the consulting market within 2 years. The return on investment will be astronomical." Jake listened to their words, hearing in each sentence the same theme: what he could do for them. What his money could provide, how his wealth could advance their dreams. Not one of them asked about his well-being, his hopes, or his feelings about any of it. "And Luna?" Jake asked, though he knew she hadn't arrived yet. "The maid?" Victoria's perfectly sculpted eyebrow arched. "What about her?" "She was part of the same experiment." Natasha laughed, a sound like tinkling bells that somehow felt cold. "Surely you don't expect us to discuss strategy with the help at that moment." Luna appeared in the doorway, still wearing her work clothes and carrying a small wrapped package. She paused when she saw the 3 women, clearly sensing she had walked into something formal. "I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison. I didn't realize you had guests. I can come back later." "Please stay," Jake said, standing. "You're part of this conversation." Luna looked uncomfortable but moved into the room, perching on the edge of a chair as if ready to flee at any moment. "Ladies," Jake addressed the room. 3 days ago, I gave each of you unlimited spending power. I want to hear what you discovered about yourselves." Victoria spoke first, her voice smooth as silk. "I discovered that life is meant to be lived beautifully. You've reminded me that we deserve the finer things, that success should be celebrated with style. I learned that taking risks pays off," Natasha added. "Sometimes you need someone who believes in you to help you reach your full potential." Carmen nodded enthusiastically. "I realized that with the right partnership, there are no limits to what we can achieve together. This experiment proved we make an excellent team." All 3 women beamed at Jake, clearly expecting praise for their insights. Then Jake turned to Luna. "What did you discover, Luna?" Luna fidgeted with the wrapped package in her hands. I discovered that having resources isn't about what you can get. It's about what you can give. The children at Sunshine Home taught me that even small gestures can change someone's entire day. Victoria's smile faltered slightly. Children's home. Luna spent the 3 days volunteering at an orphanage, Jake explained. She used less than $150 total. All of it to bring joy to children who have nothing. The room fell silent. Natasha's photographer lowered his camera. Carmen stopped checking her phone. Victoria's confident posture shifted to something more defensive. How charitable, Victoria said carefully. But surely the point was to explore opportunities for ourselves. Was it? Jake asked. I gave you unlimited power and watched what you chose to do with it. Each of you saw it as a chance to advance your own interests. Luna saw it as a chance to help others. Carmen's business instincts kicked in. Jake, philanthropy is admirable, but you need to think practically about partnerships and growth. I have been thinking practically, Jake replied. I've been thinking about what kind of person I want to spend my life with. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. 3 faces turned pale as understanding dawned. Natasha was the first to speak. You're not seriously considering the Maid over successful women who understand your world. My world? Jake looked around the opulent room. You mean this world where everything has a price tag and everyone has an agenda? Where kindness is measured by potential return on investment. He walked to Luna, who was staring at the floor as if wishing she could disappear. Luna, look at me. She raised her eyes, and Jake saw in them the same warmth and honesty that had first caught his attention 3 years ago. You've worked for me for 3 years. In all that time, you've never asked for anything except permission to bring flowers inside. You've never hinted about money or gifts or opportunities. You just made my house feel like a home. Luna's eyes widened. Mr. Morrison, I don't understand. I'm saying that watching you these 3 days taught me something. I've been searching for my entire life. I learned what love looks like when it's real. Victoria stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. You're throwing away everything for a fantasy about simple living. I'm choosing authenticity over performance. Jake replied without taking his eyes off Luna. I'm choosing someone who sees me as a person, not a bank account. Carmen shook her head. You'll regret this. In 6 months, you'll realize what you've given up. I hope not, Jake said softly, because I'm hoping Luna will give me a chance to prove that I can be worthy of the kind of love she shows those children every weekend. Luna stood slowly, still clutching her package. Mr. Morrison, Jake, I don't know what to say. Say you'll have dinner with me tonight. Not as my employee, but as someone I'd like to know better. Someone whose heart I've been falling in love with for 3 years without realizing it. Tears gathered in Luna's eyes. The other women are right, you know. I don't know anything about your world. I can't offer you connections or business opportunities or glamorous adventures. Jake stepped closer, gently taking her hands. You offer something more valuable than all of that. You offer genuine happiness. You've taught me that the best things in life aren't expensive. They're priceless. Luna smiled through her tears. In that case, I'd love to have dinner with you, but I should warn you, I'm probably going to cook it myself. And there's a 50% chance something will burn. Jake laughed, feeling lighter than he had in years. I can't wait. As Victoria, Natasha, and Carmen left in various states of indignation and disbelief, Luna handed Jake the wrapped package. I brought you something. I made it at the children's home yesterday. Jake unwrapped it carefully, revealing a small clay mug, clearly handmade and slightly lopsided. Painted on the side in childish letters were the words "World's Best Friend." Tommy made it, Luna explained. He said anyone who helps kids must be the world's best friend. I thought you might like it for your coffee. Jake held the imperfect, beautiful mug and knew he had found something rarer than all his business success combined. Someone who valued love over luxury, kindness over profit, and authenticity over appearance. 6 months later, Jake Morrison and Luna Hartwell were married in the garden of Sunshine Children's Home, surrounded by children who served as flower girls and ring bearers. Jake wore a simple suit. Luna wore a dress she had sewn herself. and both of them glowed with the kind of happiness that money could never buy. The wedding was featured in exactly 0 magazines, attended by no celebrities, and it cost less than Victoria's single shopping trip to Paris, but it was filled with more genuine love and joy than any society event Jake had ever attended. As they danced to music played by a volunteer pianist while children giggled and threw flower petals, Jake whispered in Luna's ear, "Thank you for teaching me what wealth really means." Luna smiled up at him, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Just wait until you see what we can do with your resources when we work together. Those children deserve a new playground." Jake spun her around, laughing with pure delight. He had set out to test the greed of others, and instead discovered that true love multiplies joy rather than dividing resources. In choosing Luna, he hadn't lost his fortune. He had found his treasure. And somewhere in Beverly Hills, 3 women scrolled through social media, wondering how a man who could have had everything chose instead to have enough.